What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cranky Yankee F1. So today we're going to actually talk about the Mercedes as a team. So a lot of people have been doing reviews based on drivers. Everyone kind of does the same thing. I think it's hard to talk about these drivers without talking about each other. So why make individual videos? So I'm going to be talking about Mercedes today, and I've created a graphic in the background. You guys have, if you follow the channel, you know my struggles and my fights with F1. Just basically banning anything I upload. They just don't like that I'm first, especially on race day. So I've been working on this little graphic in the background where I can actually go through the track. So I've kind of got that set up for Spa, so that'll be interesting. So stick around for that. But today we're going to be talking about, like I said, Mercedes, Valtteri, Hamilton, the battle. And I'm going to say something a little bit controversial as I have the screen going in the background where they actually follow around the schedule. So that actually took a while. It doesn't look like it's eloquent or convoluted, but it is. Lewis Hamilton is damn near perfect, and I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's kind of gets old seeing the same people win, but credit where credit is due. I think Lewis has been absolutely phenomenal, and while Valtteri has had some difficult Sundays, he struggled on certain Sundays, and Lewis has really capitalized in some cases, gotten a couple gifts. For the most part, both of them have been there. And I was pretty clear about this and was pretty direct about this in my video talking about how Ocon should not replace Valtteri. No one sitting in that seat. You got to remember, Lewis is one of the greatest drivers that we're witnessing it happen. And after he's retired in 20 years, when we look back, we'll go, wow, we didn't really appreciate that. And I think a lot of people will say, you were alive, you were watching F1 when Lewis was driving. So that's one thing I think that it's so easy to forget is Lewis has been incredible. And when we look at the head-to-head battle, so I'll pop this graphic up here in the top right, actually shows the race finishes. But when we look at the qualifying battles, it's Lewis winning 7-5. There have been a couple instances where which I believe Lewis had struggles with his DRS in Hungary, right? It didn't open. He probably would have had a pole there. But anyways, so you had, when you actually look at the actual qualifying itself, so you had Australia, you had pole, it's 4-4 on pole. So Australia, the pole went to Lewis. Lewis got 3 more poles. He got it in Monaco. Lewis also got the pole in France, and Lewis got a pole in Germany. And, Valtteri came out really strong. Like the first race, I had that graphic up. He won by over 20 seconds. You're thinking, wow, Lewis is going to get challenged. It's going to be the Nico Rosberg of the 2019 season. And, he went on a string there where Valtteri really came on strong, which was in China, Baku, and Spain. He looked really, really good. He got 3 poles. In the graphic right here, from Monaco to Spain, I think that's really where the switch started to happen, despite which I think Valtteri actually came back after Monaco and took another pole. Actually in Silverstone, of all places, where Lewis is just incredible. But, I'm kind of bouncing around here on purpose. It's because you see really Canada being the first time that I think, and up there in the graphic, we see Valtteri came in 4th. So that goes Lewis, Valtteri in that graphic. So that's really where they had a big, like the first big gap, Monaco especially. But, you got to remember, if Verstappen doesn't actually touch with Bottas in the pit lane, that might be a different race for Valtteri. So for all this talk of Valtteri, he's struggling, he'd be replaced, blah, blah, blah. No way. He's had an incredible, for all things considered, he has had an incredible season. You put any other driver in there, you got to remember they're going to perform probably subpar with respect to Valtteri. But let's see how the next race goes. There's nothing stopping Valtteri from, we're up in France in the graphic, but there's nothing stopping Valtteri from having that string he had in China going on a tear. And, all it takes is one of these races where I think Valtteri can really get his confidence back. And actually, not that we're talking about it, but same goes to Vettel. So I think when you actually look at the races and how they've gone so far, especially when we actually compare places like Austria, where Lewis actually came in 2nd and Valtteri 4th, but because of penalties, they switched it up. I think both of these drivers are driving really well. I think for some reason people are downplaying Lewis's season. Again, maybe it's because I don't know. We don't like it's boring seeing the same people win over and over again. But Lewis, compared to other seasons, he's really had to get in there and drive. He's not just like, take Hungary, for example. He's not just blowing people out of the water. Now, some races, both they are. The car looks is just, head and feet above everyone else. But he had to make a really strong call, and I live tweeted for the first time that race over at Cranky Yankee F1, and it got a ton of impressions. It got 50,000 plus impressions that race. But there was at one point where I was only listening to radio from Lewis, and he would not shut up with James about the strategy. And he, even afterwards, I put it on the Instagram, the Cranky Yankee Instagram, and he's like, I'm sorry. And he's only done that one other time in Monaco, where he didn't trust James and just, verbally, just outright did not trust him. But for the most part, Lewis has had to get in there and drive. And I think both of these drivers, I'll give Valtteri, if I had to give him a score, I give him Valtteri, 80, 85, somewhere in there out of 100. But Lewis is he's at 90 to 95. Again, not every race has been perfect, but for the most part, Lewis has driven incredible all season long. And, he's had some lucky breaks. You look at Bahrain, both of them have. The Mercedes team as a unit, but they are, especially Lewis, is developing that car. And I think to replace Valtteri would be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Talk to me about data and numbers in the comment section, but it'd be ridiculous. Now, if that continues, if the string that he's on right now, when we look at back up at the graphic, you've got Valtteri and from Monaco, like I said, he's coming third. Fourth in Canada, France, 2. He's got P3, P2. He's got the DNF in Germany and then Hungary. So we'll see how that goes. But going from DNF to P8, he's got to have a good race in Belgium, and I think that's really going to be the deciding factor. But I think the reason Mercedes is going to retain Valtteri, I feel very strongly about that. I could be wrong, but the reason I think they're going to retain him is because he's proven himself as a driver. He's got just as many poles. He's being out qualified by Lewis, but Lewis is one of the best qualifiers in the history of F1. He's one of the best drivers in the history of F1. But for the most part, Valtteri's right there now on points. Lewis is 250 to Valtteri's 188. Hamilton's got 250 probably out of 300 total, 312 technically for the fastest lap, but that's hard to beat that. You think Esteban Ocon's going to do better than that? So I think Valtteri is having a pretty good year. I think he's not on form, but I think but I think his class as a driver, I think that's what lasts forever, and I think he'll actually show that again. I think he'll have a great race in Spa. I think Lewis is going to come out very strong. And the problem I have with everyone in love and lately the love affair with Max, and I'm objective. I try to stay married to the data. But if I had to lean somewhere, it'd probably lean towards Max just because I like his driving style. And I'm telling you right now, it's a mistake to try to compare Max to Lewis. Max soon, yes, he's going to be absolutely, he should be in the conversation of the best driver on the grid. No, not right now. When you talk about the best driver right now, it's Lewis. It's Lewis. Where was Max in the beginning? Again, if I had to lean one way, I try not to, it would be to support Max. But Max was not in the conversation in the beginning of the season. He's had great form lately. If you're going to compare Max to Lewis the rest of the year, you're going to be mistaken. And I'm a fan of all these drivers. I'm a fan of F1 and motorsport. So when I think about this, I would love to see Lewis continue to have a good season, but he's going to expose Max if we're going to compare them back and forth. So let's continue just to finish the conversation with Valtteri and Hamilton, which we should be talking about. I think Valtteri needs a good race the next race, and I think he'll get it. And I think Mercedes will invest and believe in that based on retaining him and not replacing with Ocon. But that decision has yet to come out. I could look like an idiot based on my last few videos, and that's fine. That's great if I do, but I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think Mercedes as a unit has had an incredible season. They are 250 to 188. Yes, Max is creeping up. I don't think it's a fluke. I think Max is an incredible driver. I think they're developing that car, and it's becoming an even better car. And I also think we're sandbagged by Pierre Gasly. I think, again, Max is very good. I think Pierre is sandbagging, but I think Valtteri will start to be the Valtteri we know from starting from China, Baku, Spain. I think that'll be the Valtteri that comes back after the second half of the season. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not an overarching Valtteri fan. I'm just, like I said, a fan of F1, and I think he'll turn it around. If not, I think Max really will shake things up, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you guys like this video, let me know. I can obviously do the rest of the teams. I've got them all set up. I've been working on this graphic in advance, all break long, thinking about how I'm going to do this with the races themselves to try to bypass this copyright problem that F1 seems to really not like me about. So I'll continue to give you guys a really quick updates at the start of Spa, all the qualifying sessions. I'll figure out how to do the race day. But if you like this video, let me know, and I'll make the rest of the team. So I noticed a lot of people aren't doing it by team. They're not really showing some of these graphics. I can obviously show a lot more visuals by the data. But yeah, thanks for checking this out, guys. I appreciate it.